Before we started the podcast, you were talking about there's a ton of work happening at the intersection of economics and deep learning. Could you maybe just help us understand what's happening there at that intersection?
Yeah, so there's a lot of really exciting work as economists learn how to use deep learning to solve problems they didn't know about, and other people in the causal inference space. So,
Mm.
causal inference is a new part of this whole world of econometrics and statistics that's really focused on trying to understand whether A causes B. So, if you move some business lever A, what's the impact of that, and where would I want to set it for the best outcomes? And where deep learning is used is to help build these causal models. And one great example is the work of Susan Athey, who's a professor at Stanford. There are two papers that come to mind. One was about called Career, which was they trained a foundation LLM on resume data to understand labor market transition. So how your career would progress and how you transition from one job to another. And historically, economists had tried to predict this just using data that we'd collected, things like there's famous economic data sets for this, like NLSY data set, the National Labor Survey of Youth, where they track people over time and send them surveys. But she and her co-authors had access to all this resume data. They trained a foundation model on that. And then they were able to fine tune it with the NLSY data. They used a transformer architecture, which was radical. That's the first time I know of someone using a transformer on an economic problem. And this allowed them to predict and understand labor market transitions vastly better than any economic model that had come before it. It was just a step function improvement. And so that was one of the things that really inspired me, that paper. I was like, I really, as an economist, I need to invest in acquiring the deep learning human capital, we call it human capital, and improve my deep learning human capital. And because these are just key tools I need. The other paper that I really found influential was by Farrell, Lang, and Misra. And they built a model with deep learning that was much simpler than a foundation model. And it basically allowed them to impose economic structure on a deep learning model so that they could estimate outcomes in a very flexible way. And they applied this, for instance, to the SNAP food support program in the US for people who are like homeless or very poor. And they use this to understand the right way to send messaging to this population to get them to enroll in this program.